Hello, it's David with Oklahoma Ham Radio, the YouTube channel, and oklahomahamradio.com. I have been doing some work on trying to lower my noise floor. And as you can see here, the noise floor is, I use this scale over here. So we're talking, that's 105, so that would be, I don't know, minus 107, right? Roughly. That's not very good. I would like to get it down around this minus 130. So I did some work on coming up with a inexpensive solution to drop that noise floor and pull signals out, hopefully. Stick around, find out how it goes. All right, so I did about an hour of recording, testing the antenna. Before I get into what that antenna is, I want to assure you it's low cost, very easy, very hidden antenna. It's called a loop on the ground. That loop on the ground antenna has gotten some information lately, but this KK5JY is the one that has the instruction. That's the website I go to. It's really a pretty simple build, and I'll show you what I did in this. You can use, a binocular toroid, which is what I did. Mine was about twice as long as the one that he had. I couldn't find the one that he had. You use a SO239 connector and a couple of screws, and then you run a wire out in the yard. This is a great website for resources. It's been referenced by a couple of other YouTubers, and KK5JY is in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is 40 to 50 miles probably north of me. So I figured that, the actual ground that he's putting his antenna on is probably not too different from mine. I recommend, if you're interested, go to this website and get your information. Also, Ian with Ian XFS, he has a YouTube channel. He does a great job documenting his build. These are the parts that he's got. I'm not going to play his stream for September 2020, but just wanted to point that out, that he does have a great video series on putting this together and what his results were. Also, DX Commander did a video with Rolly. Callum and Rolly spent some time talking, and Rolly talked about the loop on the ground antenna. And these different sites, along with others, gave me the inspiration to try to figure out a way to come up with a receive antenna that would reduce this noise floor. Just to show you real quick what that reduction looks like, I've recorded a couple videos. This is on 14, so this would be 20 meters. I mess around quite a bit, but on 20 meters with antenna 1, and you'll see me change it here. Right up here, you can see which antenna I have set up for my receive antenna, and this is what the signals look like coming in, what the noise floor is, and so on and so forth. Antenna 2 right here is the loop on the ground. This is antenna 1 with the signals. You can see it in the waterfall. I didn't record any of the audio intentionally, but this is antenna 1, and this is antenna 2. So you feel free to pause the video and go back and see what those signals look like between the two. So you can see this is the entire band, and it stays in the same spot as this, which is the entire band. So let me just play this through. Like I said, there's no audio. You can see the signals coming in, the transmissions coming in. Here I'm trying to just pick up some faint signals. You can see the S meter up here. Here I switched to antenna 2, and then I come over and change the preamp on the radio. So I bump up that signal, and you can see how much those signals pop out of the noise floor. When the noise floor is down around, negative 135-ish 132-ish, 3-ish over here on the right hand side. So you can see those come out and how that looks. Now I did try two different toroid wraps. This is with the first toroid that I wrapped. Over here on kk5jy.net, he talks about the toroid to use and the wraps. It's a number 73 toroid. It's a number. He uses the filter right 73 material binocular core toroid. The one that he got was about 1.5 centimeters square. Well, the one I got was 3 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters. So mine was twice as long as what he got because that's what I could find. What he did was wrap twice, 2 turns, and then he wrapped 6 turns. On the first attempt, what I did just to see what would happen, I wrapped 1 turn and 3 turns. Those are these results. Now, mind you, again, my toroid was twice as long. So I figured, okay, twice as long, maybe I do half the wraps. I don't know. I'm not a electrical engineer by trade by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of this is just experimentation for me. All right. So here you can see I switch over to FT8. Noise floor is way down. That's on 20 meters. I do some checking to see, do I see, DX stations? Do I, what am I actually seeing here with this receive antenna? Spent some time doing that. I jump around to 40 and 80 meters, but here's the same type of comparison going through a lot of different settings. Again on 20. This is the loop on the ground antenna number 2. And this is my vertical, still on 20. You can see signals are coming out, and you can see that the same signals are coming out for the most part. Just the noise floor is way lower, so I can do things with an amplifier, a preamp, and so on, because that noise floor wasn't nearly as high. So I go over and mess with FT8 for a little while and see what all stations I can pull out and all that good stuff. So what I want to do is show you the antenna itself. Going back to the core, the little binocular core, you can see the one I have is twice as long there. This is what it looks like, zoomed up close so that you can see what I did. The instructions on how to make this component are on the website that I showed earlier, so I would just go there for instructions on how to do it. I'll show that to you real quick. I could have 3D printed the case, but this case had some pretty cool things. So you can't really see the antenna here. In fact, I walk around for quite some time. Just showing I did put it in the front yard, or really the side front yard, but you can see right there that it's, just staked down to the ground. I happen to have a perfect 15 by 15 square area. And you can see back there in that back corner by the fence where the cable's coming down. This is the box I ended up using. That box has these rubber ports on it. Those rubber ports I figured eventually will rust out and all this. So I go over the fence right now. I'll figure out another way to do that, but for testing that was good enough. And I do stake it to the ground. And you can come over and see, the neighbors aren't even going to notice it. So end up with 2 different receive options. There's my antenna in the backyard. That's that vertical that I built, but the grass will grow over this and it'll be invisible to anybody. So this is somewhat directional, pretty directional actually. So when you look at how it's directional, wherever that corner is that you connect to, your main lobes go off of the first bend. So you can put this in a directional pattern. I may adjust how mine's laid out to get it in more of a directional pattern, maybe pull it out to the yard a little more and then stake it down to where I'm going straight east and west off of those main lobes. Um, right now I'm going northwest to southeast, I believe. KK5NJ does also talk about doing these in a, in a unidirectional pattern and putting two of them out 1/4 wavelength apart from each other and all that good stuff. His results are very interesting on 80. I plan on seeing what happens on 40 this evening, and I'll post that at the end of this video. Let me know, if you would, what should my next move be? Should I try to put an amplifier on this loop on the ground and try to boost those signals some? Should I go to a loop in the air, a low to the ground, but loop in the air that I can transmit and receive with, and leave this loop on the ground here just as a receive antenna? I may do that. Should I go to a phased array approach where there's multiple verticals along the fence that I can phase? Using a product from MFJ or DX Engineering or whoever. There's multiple out there. Let me know which I should do, or which one you want to see me try. This was a low-cost option, very easy to do, very simple. So that's the reason I went with this. It took me all of about 2 hours to get everything researched, built, and set up. Hello, it's now, let's see what time, 9 p.m. Central Time, and I've been messing around with this antenna quite a bit to see how much I really liked it. FT8, of course, is a couple things. Number one, it's the most consistent signals because it's all day long. Number two, it's not really what this antenna, the loop on the ground antenna, is designed for. It's really designed for upper sideband or lower sideband or whatever. FT8's all about digging those stations out of the noise, right? So here you can see FT8 going on. This is the loop on the ground. Very low noise ratio. Again, it's down around -130. If I switch over to antenna 1, which again is the vertical out there, of course you see a lot more noise, quite a bit more noise. But there's something really cool that happens here. You pull out different stations. I don't know if you noticed right here, this just changed. You may want to rewind a little bit, but you'll see that this just changed. Specifically right here where my cursor is. Move it around so you can see. So I'm going to switch back. And maybe it'll change back to the other station that was there. Gonna have to wait about 30 seconds probably for CQs to be called and all that good stuff. But it's a neat scenario, because what I found is if I look at the 500 QSOs that I've made with my Flex radio, all of them were 1,000 miles away. And I thought, okay, it's because, they're not hearing me. Other stations are not hearing me. Well, I'm in the, I guess, 5 zone, whatever. My call sign is W5 OHR. That's the center part of the United States. What I found tonight, by switching between those receive antennas, my primary vertical and the loop on the ground, is that I was seeing 5 stations, a lot of 5 stations coming in and transmitting, and I was able to make contact with them. In fact, I made contact to Central Texas, which is what, 300, let's see, about 500 miles away from me. Previously, the closest I'd gotten in Texas was, you know, the very southern tip, far south of Houston. So that lets me know that since I can make those now, another thing, let me go back. That was on 40 meters, and my 40-meter antenna is a inverted L. So that could have something to do with me being able to reach those stations. Vertical antenna has a very low. Um, so if this were the vertical, your takeoff angle would be way down here at 5 degrees, meaning by the time that you bounced off the ionosphere, you're going to bounce and come down, 1,200 miles away or whatever. That's what I was finding. But what I really think I was finding, now that's your main takeoff angle. Now realize that you also have radiation being sent out not just at 5 degrees, right? It goes up at up to probably 50, 60 degrees. Um, so what I found anyway is that the receive antenna was able to pick up stations that were a lot closer and were able to, especially on FT8, because everybody's out there just going crazy. But I was able to hear stations on that antenna that I was not able to hear on my vertical. But then when I switched back to my vertical, I was able to hear different stations. The reason I knew that that was the case is in my Smart SDR software, I have it set up when I'm running FT8, which is included in the Mac version of the software, to highlight the stations in a different color, just like other software that's out there that I have worked. Well, I had worked all the stations that were calling CQ. Nothing else was coming in. And I went over and switched back to antenna 1 and then came back in here. And different stations showed up that were green, meaning I had not yet worked them. So it became very apparent, very visual, very easy to see that the antenna was picking up different stations, completely different stations. And it wasn't like it was just picking up more stations, it was picking up a completely different set of stations, which was pretty cool because I was able to work a lot of stations by having two different antennas. Whether it's better or not for FT8, I can work both. Which is better, right? I get more I can receive more stations. I think the angle that those signals are coming in, hitting that horizontal antenna versus the vertical, I'm just getting different stations. Anyway, I'll quit rambling about that. Pretty cool discovery that I did not expect. Okay, as far as voice, so I tried both. The advantages to the loop on the ground antenna, I can turn up the amplifier. Is it better or not? I don't know that I'd say it's better. It's different. It did help me pull out, I think, 2 signals when I was listening to 20 meters earlier today. I heard that something was there, but I could not make out what was being said, barely. And when I switched to the loop on the ground, I could make out what was being said, but barely. It's another tool, and it's not going to bug your neighbors because, as I showed in the video earlier, it's stealth. It's on the ground. It's staked down. Grass will grow over it, and you won't see that antenna. My wife asked what I was working on earlier this morning, and I told her I was putting an antenna in the front yard. She kind of looked at me, and I said, yeah, you drove by it, and you didn't even see it. So it's wife and neighbor friendly. Give it a shot. It's 20 bucks. I mean, it's not much, but maybe it'll help you out some. Maybe you'll pick up stations that you weren't getting with your other antenna. I want to thank DX Commander, Rolly, and KK5JY. You'll see his stuff referenced all over the place. Matt Roberts is his name. He's put together a good website that has the information and all the fun diagrams that go along with it. So, one more person I forgot to thank was Ian. Ian, thanks for what you did on your videos. It definitely helped. 73 guys, those are my thoughts on it. Take it easy. Please like, subscribe, all those wonderful things.